Good morning, class. I'm going to be talking about phobias today. And according to the article Phobias, written by Andrew Waddell, a mental health examiner for over 10 years, and also Matthew Solon, an orthopedic specialist, which was reviewed by Dr. Tim Legg on December 11, 2015. Over 19 million Americans have phobias that have some effect on their lives, and excuse me, and they make it really difficult for them to live their lives. So everyone in the world has some type of fear, even everyone in this classroom has fears, whether we like to admit it or not. But sometimes the fear becomes so intense that it becomes classified as a phobia. And a phobia is it's an anxiety disorder, and it's a strong fear that you have for any noun, meaning any person, place, or thing, and sometimes even activities. So my experience and also my research I did is what makes me credible for this topic. For example, I had a friend and his girlfriend was extremely terrified of car washes, as strange as it sounds. But when she went in her car wash, she would freak out, she would scream, cry, kick, and just beg to be out of there. And I tried researching to find out what this fear of car washes was. Couldn't find one, but the closest phobia I could find was claustrophobia, which is the fear of small spaces. So phobias impact the lives of many people in the world and can affect our own lives and the lives of our loved ones. So first I'll explain the causes and types of phobias, then the symptoms, and finally the treatment. So first we'll go over the causes and types. So the main cause of phobias are genetics and also environmental, but according to the Medline Plus trusted health information for you from the National Institution of Mental Health, received on April 20th, 2016. The specific causes of phobias are still unknown to this day. We're not sure what causes phobias exactly, but we know what comes from phobias and what it causes. So an example of a genetic phobia would be, say someone has chiroptophobia, which would be the fear of being touched. You can get that genetically because it can be passed on through genetics. And an example of environmental would be arachnophobia. So if you are exposed to a spider like this, a terrifying spider when you're younger, you might have arachnophobia, and it's because of the experience that you went through. It's usually most often seen that phobias develop in teens, but it can also be developed into adults based on experiences like this or environmental problems. So there are over 100 phobias that are recognized by the American Psychiatric Association, and a big one is social phobia. And these people with social phobias are afraid of every little interaction, such as talking on the phone or even ordering at a drive-thru. It's just terrifying for them. And people with this phobia, it tends to be a big problem because they're self-isolated and they don't get a lot of, They don't get a lot of outside world experience. They're really isolated. Another big one is acrophobia, which is the fear of heights. And these people with acrophobia tend to avoid height or high places. So anything like mountains, roller coasters, and buildings. And sometimes even the thought of being on a high building will just make them sweat and have like a panic attack or any of these symptoms that we'll be going over next. So the main symptom of a phobia is usually a panic attack, which is caused by shortness of breath and you'll tremble, sweat, and you're just scared. So say you encountered a cat, like a little animal, and if you get those symptoms, then you might have gatophobia, which is actually the fear of cats. But a panic attack isn't the only symptom for a phobia. Sometimes just the desire to get out of a situation could be a symptom. So the article Phobias, the one that I cited earlier, also claims that age, socioeconomic status, and gender are all high risk factors of phobias. So example of gender, women are they're more likely to get a animal phobia, and children of the low socioeconomic class, they have more chances of social phobia because they feel like they're so looked down upon in society that they're scared to speak out, and that's why they have the fear of speaking out. So finally we'll go over the treatments of phobias, and the main treatment is therapy. There's no cure or antidote that you can take that'll simply just get rid of a phobia. So you have to go through usually therapy. And the Center for the Treatment and Study of Anxiety from the Department of Psychiatry received April 21st claims that the most common therapy used for phobias are exposure therapy and cognitive therapy. So exposure therapy is whenever they expose you to the fear that you may have. So if you have kynophobia, which is the fear of dogs, they might expose you to lots of puppies or even bigger dogs just to get you comfortable, so you'll eventually overcome that fear. And another type of therapy is the cognitive therapy, which is where they try and change your mindset. So someone with dentophobia, for example, which is the fear of dentist, might have a mindset thinking that the dentist office is super terrifying and they're gonna pull your teeth out or give you shots and it's just a horrible experience. So to treat that, they might show you a video of an actual dentist appointment, and then they'll know that that the dentist isn't so awful. And if therapy doesn't work, then there are relaxation methods that they use to treat these phobias. So breathing is one of the main ones. If you're exposed to this fear that you have, then just stopping and breathing, meditating will help you cope better with that fear. And also they have antidepressant pills and anti-anxiety pills that'll help you cope with your phobia as well. So in conclusion, phobias impact the lives of many people in the world, and it can affect our own lives and even the lives of our loved ones. First, I explain the causes of these phobias, the symptoms and the risks, and finally the treatment. And anyone can have a phobia. Anyone in this class can develop one, even in like the next few months or a year. And even the children that we bear can have these phobias. And I believe if we have good knowledge on it, knowing the symptoms and the treatments, that it's very beneficial for us all. And that's it. Thank you.